In our orc lands, spouses are chosen. From a young age, I had always known I was destined to have 3 or 4 husbands. All 3 boasted pure bloodlines. Whichever I chose, I would bear noble offspring. Yet when my heat arrived, 2 of them avoided me with lame excuses. Even Quill, the merman I adored most, abandoned me for a handmaiden. I gave up completely and agreed to select a husband using primal divination. Never did I imagine it would point to Silver, the lowest slave in our tribe, a Silver. I prepared myself for mating. Quill offered me his heart scales, pleading silently for me to reconsider. My father studied the divination results over and over again. Once he confirmed the beast, he pulled me aside. "Luna, if you don't want this, we can pretend it never happened. You can still choose Quill." Clutching the tortoiseshell, I shook my head with a wry smile. "No, father. The beast god's guidance cannot be defied. I won't regret this." I knew father wanted me to marry my crush, but feelings can't be forced. Besides, our tribe desperately needed an heir, or we would be swallowed by another tribe. This was my duty, my responsibility. When I emerged from father's tent study, my 4 potential husbands, all conveniently claiming illness, stared at me. My Wolf Clan cousin Fong spoke first. "Don't pick me. I like girls who are gentle. You're such a tomboy." Feather, the Hawk Clan guy who used to follow me around, waved his hands. "Luna, give me a break. I don't like old ladies." Finally, they all patted Quill on the shoulder, smirking. "Everyone knows Luna loves you, Quill. Just suck it up." I hadn't done anything wrong yet, but they were treating me like a hot potato. Quill glared at me like I was his worst enemy, as if he wanted to tear me apart. Seeing I didn't respond, he grabbed me and dragged me into the shadows. "Are you doing this on purpose? Do you have to choose me? Have you no shame?" he shouted, even though we were hidden. "Everyone around us is waiting to see me make a fool of myself." Feather spotted something in my hand, still pretending to do divination. "Tell us, which loser got picked?" Someone else chimed in sarcastically. "Who else would she pick?" "Well, obviously. Can't you see she's almost in heat? She'll probably strip naked and beg Quill to mate with her. She won't say a word. The divination results are probably fake. She probably wrote down whoever she wanted. I didn't want them to know yet. Silver was still a slave. I needed to free him first. With that thought, I tightened my grip on the paper and spoke. "You'll know in a few days." "Why the rush?" I turned to leave, but Quill snatched the paper, gripping my shoulder and forcing me to face him. "You will go to your father and make it clear that it can't be me on that paper." I yanked his hand away. "There are so many males in the tribe. Why do you think I am obsessed with you?" He laughed humorously, poking me hard on the nose. "Haven't you thrown yourself at me enough? You disgust me. The thought of having kids with you makes me wish you were dead." My heart shattered again when I chose potential husbands. Quill had been the only one who didn't cry or cause a scene. I had thought he loved me the most. "Fine. Whatever. I'll just reveal the results," I muttered. Just as I was about to announce my future husband, handmaiden Ivory emerged from the side, cradling her stomach and wailing. "Princess, I am pregnant. Please have mercy." I was confused. Her being pregnant was a good thing. So why the show? She glanced at me with a resigned expression. "If you open that paper and reveal that Quill is to be your husband, my child, and I will have no future." She grabbed my wrist, her long nails digging into my skin, leaving a bloody mark. I was speechless. Ivory had been at my side since childhood, helping me choose a husband, sending messages to Quill. They had been secretly involved the whole time. I stepped back, laughing at my own stupidity. I hadn't even noticed. Quill looked at Ivory, kneeling on the ground, worried sick. "Get up. What's wrong? The ground's cold." Ivory crawled closer to me on her knees. "I wouldn't dare get up without the princess' permission. Please, leave me to atone for my sins." Quill glared at me, silently telling me to help her. But why should I watch Ivory put on her show? She soon began sweating and shaking. Finally, Quill yelled, losing his temper. "Luna, how can you be so cruel? Ivory has been working herself to the bone for you since she was a kid. Why are you torturing her like this?" So that was what Ivory had been telling people. I smirked and lifted her chin. "Tell me, how have I been torturing you?" Ivory cowered, shaking. "The princess is very good to me." Then she passed out. Well, she shouldn't have said anything. She had confirmed their narrative. Quill picked her up and gave me a pointed look. Ivory is carrying the future of my clan. If anything happens to her, I'll hold you responsible. They left, and no one noticed the paper fluttering to the ground. It really wasn't anyone else. It read 2 words, Silver. The news of Quill carrying Ivory back to the Merman clan spread through the tribe. Everyone was waiting to laugh at me, but I found them boring. I had accepted Silver as my future husband. The most important thing now was to go to the black market and buy his freedom. I also needed to get him some tonics. As soon as I stepped into the apothecary, I saw the 3 of them with Ivory. The shopkeeper looked at me with a pleading expression. Will was smiling at Ivory, but when he looked at me, his face soured. You said you didn't want to marry me yesterday, and now you are here. How pathetic can you get? Ivory used to be your handmaiden, and now she's pregnant. You should provide a dowry. I'll make the call. You can give her the shot. That would show your good intentions. I laughed. Medicine was scarce in the worklands. This shop was my most valuable asset, and he wanted to take it away just like that. I called the shopkeeper over. Quill thought I would agree, and his eyes filled with glee. Settle the accounts. Bring out all the old debts the Merman clan owes us. Quill was stunned. He turned away, embarrassed and angry. Are you trying to force me to marry you by settling the accounts? That's so pathetic. You've been using your power to suppress us since we were kids. You still haven't changed. Ivory played the good person. She took my hand and tried to reason with me. When you marry, you should follow your husband, Luna. Your things are yours. Don't you understand? Shame on you. Then she pinched my waist. It looked playful, but I knew I would have bruises. How dare she call me by my name? She stumbled backward, knocking over a porcelain vase. The vase shattered, porcelain shards flying everywhere. She picked up a shard and held it to her throat, crying. It's my fault. I just begged you not to imprison Quill and my other 2 brothers because of your selfish desires. They deserve to be free. My child and I are willing to die to atone for our sins. The others looked moved, and Quill's eyes turned red. Everyone get up. I promise I won't let anyone hurt you or our child. I didn't want to watch their loving act. Don't worry. I won't use Quill. The other 2 looked nervous. Fong emphasized. Everyone, please be a witness. I, Fong of the Wolf Clan, will never marry Luna. She's rude and unpleasant. She's not the female I want. Others followed, afraid I would stick to them. The whole clan won't marry her either. She's so much older than me. Who knows if she can even have kids? Finally, Quill looked down at me. If you apologize to Ivory, I might be willing to sleep with you once. Otherwise, you'll be the one humiliated. I can't take it anymore. I find all 3 of you disgusting. I would never choose you. As soon as I said that, they turned and left. As they passed, Quill kicked my old injury. Pain exploded in my knee. This was the price for hurting Ivory today. Another stepped on my ankles. I hope you're still so tough when you're in heat. I curled up on the ground, watching them. I had one thought. We were childhood friends, but now we're enemies. I had hoped that even without love, there would be respect. Quill had hurt my ankle when he took me out. The Merman clan was weak, and my father would have been mad. Quill was scared and wanted to die. I didn't tell the witch doctor. Over time, the injury became chronic. Now their clans were strong, and mine was weak. The past meant nothing. Fortunately, the beast god hadn't chosen them. The events of the day soon spread, and the black market opened the betting pool, guessing who I would choose. Most people bet on Quill, thinking I would back down and sleep with him. But I called my confidant and told her I wouldn't choose any of them. She hesitated but complied. At the choosing ceremony, only orcs from high-ranking tribes were supposed to attend, but many from low-ranking tribes wanted to get lucky. They stared at my waist and chest. Have you heard her? 3 potential husbands rejected her. I wonder who she'll pick today. Do you even have to guess? She'll definitely choose Quill and then offer a huge dowry, begging him to take her. Then again, she's actually pretty hot. Maybe we should. Before they could finish, Quill glanced at them coldly. The crowd went silent. It seemed the Merman clan still cared about me. A second later, more people bet on me choosing Quill. The ceremony hall buzzed like a hive of angry bees, the air thick with a scent of incense and anticipation. My father stood at the dais, his furred ears twitching as he scanned the crowd. He had aged in the last few days, the weight of our tribe's future etching deeper lines into his face. I straightened my ceremonial robes, embroidered with the symbols of the beast god, tortoiseshell patterns that now felt like chains. As the high priest chanted the opening rites, I felt eyes boring into me from every corner. Quill and his entourage sat prominently, Ivory nestled between him and the other two rejects, her hand protectively over her belly. She shot me a triumphant smile, as if she'd already won. Fong whispered something to Feather, and they both snickered, no doubt plotting how I'd humiliate myself. "Father," I murmured as I approached the altar, "it's time." He nodded gravely, holding up the divination scroll for all to see. "The beast god has spoken. Luna, daughter of the Orc chief, shall mate with the one chosen, Silver of the Silver clan." A gasp rippled through the hall, followed by stunned silence. Silver clan? They were the lowest of the low, slaves bred for labor, their metallic scales marking them as outcasts. Whispers erupted like wildfire. "A slave? She's picking a slave? Has she lost her mind?" The princess reduced to betting filth. Quill's face twisted in disbelief, then amusement. He leaned back, crossing his arms. "Well, that's one way to save face. Desperate times, I suppose." I ignored them, my gaze fixed on the side entrance where slaves waited in chains. Silver was there, head bowed, his silver scales dull under the torchlight. He was thin, scarred from years of toil, but there was a quiet strength in his posture. When the guards unchained him at my father's command, he looked up, his eyes, a deep, stormy gray, meeting mine for the first time. No hatred, no pity, just curiosity. As he approached, the crowd jeered. "Look at him. He'll break under her the first night." My heat was building, a fire in my veins, but I held my ground. "Silver," I said softly, extending my hand. "The beast god has chosen you. Will you accept?" He hesitated, glancing at the mocking faces, then back to me. "If it pleases you, princess, I am yours to command." The ceremony ended in chaos, bets being called off, Quill storming out with Ivory in tow. But as Silver and I were led to the mating chambers, I felt a strange calm. He wasn't Quill, with his pretty scales and poisoned words. He was simple, unassuming. Perhaps that was enough. That night, as we consummated the union under the beast god's watchful eye, Silver was gentle, almost reverent. No demands, no disgust. For the first time, I didn't feel like a burden. The morning after brought no fanfare, only the harsh light of reality. Silver knelt by the bed, offering me a bowl of fresh water infused with herbs. "To ease the ache, princess," he murmured, his voice low and steady, like the rumble of distant thunder. I sat up, wincing at the soreness from the night before. My heat had subsided for now, but the tribe's judgment lingered. "You don't have to call me that anymore. We're mates now." He bowed his head. "Habits die hard. I've been a slave since birth." We talked then, in the quiet of the chamber. He spoke of his life, endless labor in the mines, the whip's bite, the rare kindness from fellow Silvers. No family, no clan pride, just survival. I shared fragments of my own story. The betrayals, the divination, the duty to bear an heir. "You're not what they say," he said finally, his gray eyes softening. "Strong, yes, but not cruel." A knock interrupted us. My confidant entered, her face pale. "Princess, the elders are furious. They say mating with a slave weakens the bloodline. Quill's clan is petitioning to annul it." I dressed quickly, Silver at my side. In the council hall, Father defended me fiercely. "The beast god chose. Defy that and invite ruin." Quill sneered from his seat. "The god chose a worm? Convenient after we rejected her. She's shaming us all." Ivory wept dramatically. "Think of the children. What if the heir is tainted?" The debate raged, but Father held firm. As we left, Silver squeezed my hand. "I'll prove my worth, Luna. For you." That night, as shadows lengthened, I found tonics hidden in my quarters, gifts from anonymous well-wishers, or perhaps enemies. Silver inspected them. "Poison," he whispered, sniffing one. "Someone doesn't want an heir." We burned them, vowing vigilance. In the darkness, our bond grew, a fragile thread in a web of deceit. Word spread beyond our tribe. Luna, the fallen princess, wed to a slave. Envoys from rival clans arrived, sniffing for weakness. "An heir from slave blood? Your tribe will crumble," one sneered. To quell the unrest, Father decreed trials for Silver, to prove his mettle. "Survive the beast hunt, and none can question you." The hunt was brutal, track and slay a wild griffin in the forbidden forests. Quill volunteered to oversee, his smirk promising sabotage. In the woods, Silver moved like a shadow, his scales blending with the mist. I watched from afar, heart pounding. Quill's allies ambushed him, arrows whistling, traps snapping. But Silver fought back, his strength surprising even me. He dodged, countered, using the terrain like a weapon. When he returned with a griffin's head, bloodied but alive, the tribe murmured in awe. Quill's face darkened. Luck, he spat. That evening, Silver collapsed in our tent, wounds festering. I tended him, applying salves. You didn't have to risk so much. For our future, he replied, his hand on my belly. For the heir. Tess confirmed it. I was with child. Joy mixed with fear. Ivory's spies lurked, and whispers of assassination grew. But Silver's trial had earned respect. Even Fong nodded grudgingly. Not bad for a Silver. The days following Silver's triumph in the beast hunt should have been a time of celebration, but the air in the tribe grew heavy with suspicion. My pregnancy was now undeniable, my belly rounding with the promise of the heir our people so desperately needed. Yet, every step I took was shadowed by whispers. The high-ranking clans, once my allies, now questioned the wisdom of the beast god's choice. Ivory's influence spread like a creeping vine, her honeyed words sowing doubt in the hearts of those who had once cheered for me. One evening, as the sun bled crimson across the horizon, a fire erupted in the slave quarters where Silver had once toiled. The flames roared, devouring the wooden shacks with unnatural speed. Silver, ever quick to act, dashed into the chaos without hesitation, pulling trapped Silvers from the inferno. I watched from a distance, my heart pounding as smoke curled into the sky. He emerged, coughing and scorched, his silver scales blackened, but his eyes alight with determination. Arson, he said later, as we stood in the apothecary, away from prying ears. He held up a single merman scale, its iridescent sheen unmistakable. Found it near the kindling. Someone wanted those Silvers dead, and me with them. I clenched my fists, the memory of Quill's smug face flashing in my mind. We confront him. Now. Silver hesitated, his hand brushing mine. Careful, Luna. Accuse without proof, and we'll lose more than we gain. But I was done with caution. The apothecary, my family's pride, was a sanctuary of rare herbs and tonics, a symbol of our strength. If Quill thought he could undermine us with fire and lies, he'd learn the cost of crossing me. We marched to the Merman clan's enclave, where Quill lounged with Ivory and their sycophants, sipping fermented kelp wine. Explain this, I demanded, tossing the scale at his feet. It glinted accusingly in the torchlight. Quill's lips curled into a sneer. A scale? You're grasping at straws, princess. Maybe your slave dropped it to frame me. Ivory rose, her pregnant belly swaying as she played the wounded victim. Luna, why do you hate us so? We're just trying to live our lives. You've got your mate now. Let us be. The crowd murmured, some nodding in sympathy. My temper flared, but Silver's steady hand on my shoulder anchored me. No proof, no fight, he whispered. We'll find it, back in our quarters. Father summoned us. His fur was graying, his eyes weary from the constant scheming. The council is restless, he said. They demand a stronger show of unity. Luna, your child must be born in peace, or the tribe will fracture. That night, as Silver and I lay together, the weight of our duty pressed down. We can't trust anyone, I said, tracing the scars on his chest. Not even my own kin. He kissed my forehead. Then we trust each other. And the beast god. The next dawn, we began our own investigation. Silver's knowledge of the slave quarters proved invaluable. He knew every hidden path, every forgotten corner. We found charred remnants of oil-soaked rags, deliberately placed. A young Silver, barely a teen, confessed to seeing a cloaked figure near the fire's origin. Merman colors, he whispered, trembling. I swear it. Armed with this, we rallied the Silvers, who were eager to prove their loyalty. They patrolled the borders, their eyes sharp for treachery. Meanwhile, Ivory hosted feasts, flaunting her pregnancy like a badge of honor. My child will be pure, she declared at one gathering, her gaze cutting to me. Not tainted by lesser blood. I bit back a retort, focusing on Silver's plan. He trained me in stealth, teaching me to move like a shadow, to listen to the earth's whispers. Together, We uncovered a stash of merman weapons hidden near the slave quarters, proof of a larger plot. When we presented it to father, his face hardened. Quill will answer for this. But Quill was slippery, denying everything with a laugh. You think I'd risk my clan for a few silvers? Pathetic. The tribe remained divided, and as my pregnancy progressed, so did the danger. Someone slipped a bitter herb into my tea. Thankfully, Silver's keen nose detected it before I drank. We're not just fighting for us anymore, he said, his voice fierce. We're fighting for our child. The blood moon hung low, casting an eerie glow over the tribe as my labor began. Pain tore through me, relentless and raw, but Silver's presence was my anchor. He held my hand, his voice steady as he whispered encouragements. You're stronger than the storms, Luna. You'll bring our child into this world. Hours blurred into a haze of agony and hope. When our son was born, his cry pierced the night, a fierce, vibrant sound. His tiny body shimmered with silver scales, but his eyes were mine, burning with defiance. We named him Thorn, for the thorns that guard the rose, a symbol of our hard-won love. The tribe's reaction was mixed. Some, like the Silvers, rejoiced, seeing Thorn as a bridge between castes. Others, led by Quill and Ivory, sneered. A half-breed heir? Quill scoffed at the naming ceremony. He'll curse us all. Ivory, now heavy with her own child, feigned concern. What if he's weak, Luna? A slave's blood might not hold up. The witch doctor, an ancient orc with eyes like polished obsidian, examined Thorn. Pure, she declared. Stronger than most. The beast god smiles on him. Quill's face twisted, but he said nothing, storming off with Ivory trailing behind. I cradled Thorn, his warmth grounding me. Silver stood guard, his presence a silent vow. Days later, disaster struck. I woke to an empty crib, Thorn's blanket cold. Panic clawed at my chest as I screamed for Silver. He was already moving, sniffing the air, his instincts honed from years of survival. The Merman Caves, he growled. We gathered a small band of loyal Silvers and stormed the enclave. There, in a dimly lit chamber, Ivory cooed over Thorn, her nails dangerously close to his fragile skin. Just borrowing the little darling, she said, her smile venomous. Quill blocked our path, his trident gleaming. He's family now, Luna. Share the joy. Silver moved faster than I'd ever seen, disarming Quill with a single strike. Touch my son again, and I'll end you. The Silvers flanked us, their makeshift weapons drawn. Ivory paled, handing Thorn over. A misunderstanding, she stammered. We returned home, but the incident shook me. Father, still weakened from his illness, summoned the council. This is treason, he roared, his voice echoing despite his frailty. Ivory is banished for a season. Quill, you're on notice. As we fortified our quarters, Silver built a cradle with his own hands, carving protective runes into the wood. No one will take him again, he vowed. The tribe buzzed with gossip, some praising our resolve, others siding with Ivory's crocodile tears. But Silver's courage in the caves had shifted perceptions. Even Fong, my wolf clan cousin, muttered, the slaves got spine. Thorn grew quickly, his laughter a light in our darkening world. But I knew the peace was fragile. Ivory's banishment was temporary, and her malice would return sharper than ever. With Thorn's birth, the tribe's focus shifted to external threats. Rival clans, sensing our internal strife, probed our borders. Father, still recovering, tasked Silver with an impossible mission: forge alliances with the lower clans, including the Silvers, to bolster our defenses. You're one of them, he told Silver. They'll trust you. Silver embraced the challenge, his humility disarming even the most skeptical clan leaders. He spoke of unity, of a tribe where blood didn't dictate worth. We're stronger together, he said at a gathering of outcasts, his voice carrying a quiet power. Many nodded, their eyes reflecting hope for the first time. I joined him on these missions, Thorn strapped to my chest. The lower clans welcomed us, sharing meager meals and stories of hardship. Silver listened, his compassion forging bonds where my title alone would have failed. You're not just a princess, a Silver elder told me. You're one of us now. But Quill worked to unravel our efforts. He spread lies through his spies. The slave seeks to rule. Luna's bewitched by a lowborn. Tensions flared, and a skirmish broke out at the western border. A rival clan, egged on by Quill's whispers, attacked a Silver outpost. Silver led the defense, his strategies uncanny. He used the terrain, luring enemies into traps, his Silvers fighting with a ferocity that stunned the invaders. I watched from a hill, thorn in my arms, as Silver returned, bloodied but victorious. A deep gash marred his arm, but he waved off concern. "For the tribe," he said, kissing Thorn's forehead. The victory earned him respect, even from Feather, who clapped Silver's shoulder. "Not bad, slave. You've got guts." My second heat loomed, and with it, the need for more heirs to secure our lineage. Silver sensed it, his touch gentle but eager. "Our legacy will be unbreakable," he whispered, and I believed him. Ivory's return was inevitable. She slunk back, her child, a girl with merman scales now born. She played the repentant mother, but her eyes gleamed with schemes. At a council meeting, she proposed a unity feast to heal old wounds. I didn't trust her, but Silver urged caution. "Let her expose herself," he said. "We'll be ready." The unity feast was a glittering trap, the hall adorned with kelp banners and glowing shells. Ivory played the gracious host, her daughter cooing in her arms. But her words dripped with barbs. "Let's toast to Luna's unconventional choice," she said, raising a goblet. The crowd tittered, and I gripped Silver's hand under the table. As the night wore on, Fong, my wolf clan cousin, grew restless. He'd been distant since the trials, his loyalty wavering under Quill's influence. Midway through the feast, he stood, his voice slurring from wine. "Pure blood must rule. This slave nonsense weakens us." Chaos erupted. Fong's allies, wolves and hawks swayed by Quill, drew weapons, demanding Father step down. Silver shielded me and Thorn, his dagger flashing as he parried blows. I fought too, my claws raking a traitor's arm. Father, frail but fierce, rallied our loyalists. The hall became a battlefield, tables overturned, screams echoing. Silver fought like a storm, protecting us with every move. Father fell, a blade grazing his side, but we held the line. By dawn, the traitors were subdued, Fong and his cohorts bound in chains. In the council's aftermath, Quill begged mercy, kneeling before me. "For old times, Luna. We were friends once." I stared at him, remembering the boy who'd laughed with me under the stars. "That boy is dead," I said. "You killed him with your betrayal." Father, bandaged but alive, exiled Quill and his allies. Ivory wailed, but her daughter was spared, entrusted to a neutral clan. "She's innocent," I said, surprising myself with mercy. Silver stood as co-chief, his leadership unquestioned. The tribe mourned the fallen, but began to heal. "We've earned this peace," Silver said, his arm around me as we watched Thorn play. 5 years passed like a river's flow. Thorn grew into a spirited boy, his silver scales gleaming as he trained with Silver. I bore 2 more children. A daughter, Lyra, with wolf-like agility, and a son, Zephyr, whose hawk-like wings sprouted early. Our family was a beacon, proof that love could transcend caste. Former enemies sought redemption. Feather approached one evening, his head bowed. "I was wrong about you, Silver. And you, Luna. Forgive a fool." Silver clasped his hand. "Allies now. We build together." The tribe flourished, absorbing lower clans into our fold. Slavery was abolished, Silver's given equal voice. My heats became moments of joy, not duty, Silver's love a constant flame. At night, we'd sit by the fire, our children laughing, and I'd marvel at how far we'd come. Ivory's shadow lingered, her whereabouts unknown. But we were vigilant, our family a fortress. The beast god's choice had been wise, and Silver's goodness shone brighter than any noble blood. Under the same blood moon that birthed Thorn, we renewed our vows in a grand ceremony. The tribe gathered, their cheers a symphony of unity. Father, now fully recovered, officiated, his voice strong. The beast god chose well. "Luna and Silver are our heart." Silver held me close, his gray eyes warm. "You saved me, Luna. But we saved the tribe." Our children danced around us. Thorn, Lyra, Zephyr, symbols of a new era. The Orclands thrived, no longer divided by blood or rank. I looked back on my journey, from a princess scorned to a leader beloved, and felt no regrets. Silver's heart, pure and steadfast, was my greatest treasure. As we stood under the stars, I whispered, "Forever?" "Forever," he replied, and the tribe roared its approval. our legacy etched in eternity.